Review copy provided by developer Gears for Breakfast.
Whoa.
A Hat in Time was funded on Kickstarter back in 2013 and was pitched as a 3D collectathon platformer in the spirit of games like Banjo-Kazooie and Super Mario 64. Those are some big names to live up to, not to mention the hit-and-miss nature of many fan-funded projects. But after multiple years in development, years that were clearly spent putting tons of love and care into the project, A Hat in Time is not only a successful homage to the classic titles it takes inspiration from, but is so good that going forward, it should be mentioned right alongside them as an equal. While traveling across the universe in her homey spaceship, our main character, simply known as Hat Kid, has her journey suddenly interrupted when an unwanted intruder causes her, as well as her vault of important time-altering hourglasses, which are the game's equivalent of stars or jiggies, to be sucked out onto the planet below. In order for her to get back home and ensure no one uses the hourglasses for nefarious deeds, it's up to you to collect them across 5 distinct areas. The first thing you'll likely notice is how gosh darn cute everything about the presentation is. From the cheery disposition of your main character to the bright, wacky world you'll be jumping around in, every inch of A Hat in Time is dripping with charm that you can't help but crack a smile at. This charm carries over to the over-the-top characters you'll meet along the way, all of whom are brought to life thanks to great voice acting. And the music, which ranges from quiet and beautiful to full-on rock anthems, is excellent throughout. As a platformer, about 95% of what you'll be doing is leaping around each environment to find the various collectibles littered about. You can jump, double jump, and do a long-distance dive to cover larger gaps, and the controls are always spot on. Whether you're casually wandering around the open levels or conquering the more tricky sections, there's never a moment where you feel the controls fighting you. In addition to your basic mobility, you'll also craft a handful of unique hats throughout your journey that provide new abilities like sprinting, brewing potions that act as bombs, and being able to see hidden elements in each level, all of which are useful if you plan to find everything. On top of that are stickers, most of which are purchased from a twitchy-looking vendor that act as passive buffs, letting you safely land after a fall that would otherwise damage you, or having collectibles magnetized towards you, to name a few. There's also combat, but it's very simple, with just one button for attacks, and the ability to jump on the heads of enemies with a well-timed button press, which is needed for certain platforming sections. The great core gameplay remains constantly fresh thanks to new themes and clever scenarios being introduced on a constant basis. Whether you're fighting against the brutes of Mafia Town, helping 2 rival bird directors make their movies, or doing the bidding of a soul-stealing ghost, you always feel like you're experiencing something new, and none of these situations outstay their welcome. Add to that hidden time rifts in each stage, which act as short challenge rooms, and several relics that you can find and put on display back in your ship, and there's a healthy amount of things to keep you busy. Now, after all this praise, do I have any problems with A Hat in Time? No, not really. I mean, if I'm stretching for nitpicks, I had a few bugs occur, but they were small things like clipping through a surface or seeing an enemy floating in midair that never hurt my progress. And the frame rate drops here and there in one of the later worlds because there's so much packed into it, but it never affected gameplay for me. And that's really it. This game is pretty much flawless in my eyes. I fell in love with A Hat in Time within minutes of starting it, and that love never wavered. It's bursting with adorable charm, has pitch-perfect control, and is constantly finding new ways to surprise. It's honestly one of the best 3D platformers I've ever played, and I cannot wait to jump back in and mop up the few things here and there standing between me and 100% completion. If you have any interest in this genre of game, you owe it to yourself to experience this wonderful adventure starring a little girl in a top hat. A Hat in Time gets a 10 out of 10.